My homily for the fifth Sunday in Lent, the 17th of March 2024. Unless a wheat grain falls on the ground and dies, it remains only a single grain. But if it dies, it yields a rich harvest. Jesus was speaking of his death and resurrection and explaining it, as he often did, in terms of nature. Jesus frequently spoke of seeds, plants and trees to explain deep spiritual concepts. Such things would have been very familiar to the people he spoke to in the first century. And despite all our technological progress, they are still familiar to us today. We see seeds, plants and trees all around us, and death and resurrection in the cycle of nature. A seed must die and be buried in the earth before it can grow and produce fruit, and many more seeds. You may say that the seed doesn't die, it only sleeps. Well, so do we. We don't die, we sleep, before we awaken again to rise with Jesus to new life. That's our faith. That's what we are preparing to celebrate at the great Easter festival. Jesus, who suffered, died and was buried, like every human being before him, rose to new life, victor over sin and death. And where Jesus went, we as people will follow. It's a great image he uses, like so many images that he used. Jesus was a great teacher and preacher. He gives us images that stick in the mind and heart. Jesus is a seed. He was cut down in his prime, despite all his beautiful words and deeds of love and compassion, and laid in the earth, dead. It seemed like a disaster. His family and friends were distraught and heartbroken. However, it was only a momentary disaster, and one from which great fruit was born. Jesus rose from the dead and opened the way to new and risen life for us all. Sin and death will never have the last word. Whatever happens in this world, it is a momentary thing. We have a life of eternal love to look forward to. You see what Jesus did? How he completely transformed what they did to him. All that was bad in our world was loaded onto him. Jealousy, rejection, betrayal, cruelty, violence, hatred, etc., etc. And he took it and transformed it into love, transformed it by his love. And so the crucifix is a symbol of love, or more correctly, a symbol of hate transformed into love. What fruits the seed of Jesus has produced for us. That's why the gospel speaks of his death as glorification. Love has overcome, love has won, and we are filled with hope.